Start the recording. Hey everyone, this is OotiniCast episode 396 being recorded on September the 8th, 2020. This is the raw version of the show, which is streamed out live and will then be edited and put out as a podcast tomorrow. Kitty's here. Hey, Kitty. And
chill.
Yeah, we'll get going on the actual podcast in just a couple minutes. We're going to tweet this out. And yeah, we'll try to get going real close to the top of the hour.
Actually on time? Holy crap.
Yep. Looks like the stream's going fine. Yeah, I mean, usually it's like, as long as we're streaming by the top of the hour, we're pretty happy.
Yeah.
But in this case, we're actually gonna we'll have the stream going, and we'll actually start the podcast right around 4 Pacific. All right. And there's only 4 more until 400.
Holy crap.
So we really need to start. I know we've done some general talking and thinking, but we haven't really made any real plans for 400. We're gonna have to start doing that pretty soon. Let me go ahead and tweet this out.
Any ideas?
Oh yeah, well, I would say, we could either have several guests, have it do a round table, or we could ask people to send in audio bits, something like that.
Oh, I like that. I like the idea of having people on.
Yeah,
That's
that'd be fun
kinda cool.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll make it a crazy edit, but actually what I would probably do if there's literally a whole screen of people on Discord and we're all going at once,
live.
I would probably we would record the audio, but we probably it would probably be too much to ask everyone to have their own separate audio tracks, and we'd probably just have to do it from that one audio track. Not ideal for podcast quality, but I think otherwise I would go insane trying to, if we did end up with 6 guests and ourselves, it's 8 people or something. If we did it that way, and I'm not saying we are, but if we did, that would be insane to edit separate tracks. It would be insane.
Yeah,
it would take forever, and it would be, and all it would take is one person to have technical issues or whatever, and then I'd have to throw it out anyway, so. Anyway, all right, let's tweet it out. Tweet is sent out. I'll go ahead and retweet it real quick, and then we should be getting going here. We've got Marcus here already, I see. Hey, Marcus.
How you doing, Marcus?
Friend of the show, Marcus. I always like that phrase when you hear, radio hosts say,
right,
friend of the show, because they, basically anyone who's been a guest is pretty much a friend of the show is usually how they define that. Where is it? Let's see. Oh, I think it hasn't. I have to refresh it here. Okay.
You can use Zencaster. Huh. What's Zencaster?
Zencaster.
Savior of casting. When things get crazy and there's too many tracks.
I like the little Marcus Mara. That's pretty good. Pretty good little Twitch emote there.
Oh yeah. They look good.
Very nice, very nice. Let me see. Let me take one last look here. All right. Yeah, looks like we're ready to go.
All right, I'm going to put you.
Yeah, I thought the Mind Trap was pretty interesting today, or this week. So I'm happy to talk about that one.
Yeah, the numbers were really close.
Yeah. All right.
I always talk about stuff that they don't have on the box. The game, and it's that social aspect of it that is something that only people that play these types of games are familiar with.
Yep. All right. Looks like we've gotten that going. If you're good, Kitty, I think Let's see. Are we close enough to... Yeah, we're right at 4, so we're good to go.
Cool.
All right. Let me go ahead and get this going then. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast. For 300 years we prepared. We grew stronger. This is episode 396, being recorded on Tuesday, September 8th, 2020. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Kitty Kisses. Hey, Kitty.
Hey, Kitty. Hello, everybody.
And what have you been up to since the last show, Kitty?
I've been a busy bee.
Nice.
We've been doing the Jar Jar, or as we were calling it now, the Yar Yar. I don't know where that happened.
Where did
like
that come
Jan
from?
Hammer. Something
Vaguely
like
pirate-like.
That's right. It's been really, really fun, and we've been able to run 18-man operations, and we've been doing them in story mode to kind of help folks.
You mean 16, right?
Or 16, right?
Yeah.
We sneak an extra two.
Sneak an extra couple in there.
Right. And so we can show people, new people to the guild, people that aren't familiar with how to do operations and are interested in them, how to do it. And it's been fun.
Right.
And I've noticed that, I think it's just me. I was terrible when I started playing raids. I was awful at it. I was also drunk all the time, so that didn't help. But
yeah, well.
But man, the people that we have are so good. They're
there's some really
so
good players.
They're picking it up. And my favorite fight in the entire game is the Brontis fight. And I died, and I was lying there the whole time. First time I've died in a long time on that fight, and I died right as the two, hands would come up and shoot the lightning in between.
Yes, that's easy to get caught in, especially if it's like the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the second one, and I leaped to it like a dummy.
So you're pretty much guaranteed to get hit by it.
I know, but it was kind of fun because I watched it. I got to watch it instead of playing in it, but I thought it was kind of funny. Hey, okay, I am going to sit here and warm the ground with my corpse.
Right.
But it was really fun. I just wanted to say to the folks that are new to Jar Jar, you guys are kicking ass, and I'm stoked to have you there, and I'm glad to be doing our 18-2 people raids now. It's super fun. There's something that I wanted to bring up real quick with another guild thing, is I get a lot of people that play in the guild on my stream, and they ask me, what do we do with the conquest rewards? And the answer is, we're kind of full on them at the moment, so we don't really need any of those specific pieces. However, if you wanted to sell them and donate the money, to the guild, it would go to our weekly bonuses. Those, I guess, are pretty expensive. So
right, the bonuses, and also if they for the Jar Jar Joyride, if they do turn on the guild repair and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the answer to that. Don't worry about that stuff, but if you can
right. So these will be those command
at the guild.
encryptions and other things,
Right,
engineering
right.
encryptions that you can choose from the reward from the weekly. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's good to know. I think Dekion did mention that maybe four episodes ago, something like that, but it's good to know that that's still the case.
Yeah, I just get people ask me all the time, what do I do with this? And I thought, I'll tell everybody at once. Anyway, I've been leveling up a shadow, and it's been really fun.
Nice.
And I ended up, I know that I've been trying to do PvP, trying to figure out what class I want to be a PvP main. And I haven't PvP'd, I think, in like 2 weeks. I just ended up doing the story. But Shadow is super fun. I've been really enjoying it.
Nice. And which spec are you doing?
I don't remember.
Not the tanking one, though, right?
No.
And
I'm
not the dot one, so it must be the backstab one.
Right, the backstab one.
Yeah. Okay.
It's super fun.
Cool.
But I've been enjoying that. And what else? Oh, one of the folks on the stream, Domino, I promised her a long time ago that I was going to help her get some HK parts.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to get a big group of people together, and at noon on the 10th of this month, noon Pacific time, on the Starforge server, we are going to get a huge group together, or as big as we can get, and go out and knock the parts out real quick so she can
Nice.
unlock the HK. And I just figured the more the merrier. So if you're interested, let me know, and we'd be happy to have you come along.
All right,
But
excellent. So that's back on the Starforge. So
yeah, so which is, we play on Steel Sean mostly. So
right.
I will be guesting on the Starforge server.
Nice.
And yeah, and that's about it. Just having fun, that kind of stuff. Trying to breathe oxygen as much as possible.
Right. And I
What
see.
about how's the chat room?
Well, yeah. Well, before we do that, I see there's going to be a duck hunt and Utini 500 coming up as well.
Right. Yes. On September 19th of this month,
Okay.
the
So that's
our
a
good
week from Friday.
right, our good friend Ducky, who
Yep.
who's in Utini, puts on what he calls the duck hunt and the Utini 500, where he goes and hides somewhere
That's the duck
on a
hunt
map,
part. Yep.
and we go try to find him.
Yep.
And then he has a race on the same map, whatever planet he chooses. I think it's Quesh this time. We have a race through the map, and he has fantastic prizes. You don't have to be in Utini to join.
Nope.
So if you're interested, go on to Satil Sean server / join space join space Utini,
Right.
and you can talk to one of us. We'll give you more information and all that stuff.
Right. But
Or
you won't
can
have to
contact
actually join
me.
the guild or anything, right?
Yeah, you don't have to join or anything like that, but the
Yeah.
more the
Just
merrier.
join the channel is all, and that's
Yeah.
just for communication.
Yeah, and you can come on to our Discord, and it's really fun.
They're both really
It's
fun.
really,
I
really
usually.
fun, yeah.
I usually kind of suck at finding Ducky. I'm like almost always awful at that. Like I think I did reasonably well one time, and every other time I'm like way in the I'm like way one of the last people usually to find him. I'm usually awful at that. One time I kind of got lucky and got like third or something. Yeah, I'm actually okay at the racing though. I'm pretty good at min maxing. You know, you can't take any of the speed
Right.
boosts beyond the 150 or whatever. But I'm pretty good at the actual racing, and that's actually fun to try to cut the corners or figure out the best path given the limits that you're supposed to follow and stuff like that.
Right.
stuff.
Especially, it helps a lot if you have the map completely uncovered, so you can
Right.
see where you're going. and
Do you know
stuff like that.
when is the duck hunt Utini 500? Do you know when that's starting? Is
I
that gonna be
believe it's 5 p.m. Pacific or 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm not sure. Somewhere
Okay.
around there is when they usually start. But yeah,
okay.
all are welcome. Anybody wants to come along, have fun. We don't take it seriously, and we have a lot of fun together.
Excellent.
So come along.
Okay. That sounds good. All right, let's see how the chat room's coming along. Deck and Fee are both here from our guild leaders. Evans is here. Halaton, Instasarnar, Kramer29, Pritikill, Arjar 75. We also know that Marcus is here. These things never seem to update very fast, but hey everyone, how's it going? So what I've been up to is I got my healing. I've been leveling as a healer because I don't have a healing main at all. And not that I necessarily will use it a ton, but I think it'd be interesting to actually have sort of a healing main, someone I could actually call upon if like we were desperate for a healer. And also just because I've never really focused on healing as a spec. So leveled the Commando Mantis up to level 70. She's through Zyos, so she would be about to start Coffee Kotet, but I'm considering skipping those and going to Iokath, but I haven't fully decided. It's just that it's a lot of chapters.
There's a lot.
It takes a long time, and I've done them a lot. So
It's good to skip it every once in a while. I
Exactly,
found.
yeah. And if I do, then it'll be going right to Iocath, which is when you'd get Alara Dorn back, which would be kind of cool. And I presume Eric would, be back as well from the chapters if I do skip them, stuff like that. But to put off deciding that, I decided to go ahead and start leveling the Mirror class as well. So I'm doing a Lara Croft cosplay as a Merc. I've actually done a Lara Croft before, but this one I've improved her looks a little bit. She's a little closer, I feel. And I'm pretty happy with how she's set up. She's leveling as a healer as well, but she's only level 20, so it's not that much different yet. I just got her ship after Drummond Koss, so right now it feels pretty similar to a DPS spec, but I know from doing Mantis that pretty soon the damage is going to fall off, and I'm really going to be dependent on the companion for a lot of the damage pretty soon. And it falls off hard, and it's pretty awkward. There's like a big awkward part in the middle where you're not really doing as much damage because you're not getting these damage buffs, but you don't have the really cool healing abilities either. So I have one cool instant heal, but that has a 20-second cooldown. I don't have the passive one that gives a heal when they take damage, which is a really important one. Nor do I have the last one, which is the one where you hard cast it on someone, or a channel actually, and it ticks and it heals them, but it also heals people around them automatically, which is a pretty sweet ability. I don't have any of that, so I am liking how the healing spec feels on the commando now that she's up pretty high, especially getting that one utility where you can cast that ability on the move really feels good. So it feels like a relatively mobile healing spec for the most part, which is pretty nice. And so yeah, I'm really liking that. And Duck's here. Hey, Duck. And we can confirm with Duck about the thing. So, all right. And what else? Oh yeah. Well, the Jar Jar Joyride I thought was fun. I did the last one. I don't think I was able to do the one before that though. No, I wasn't. And it was the one I did was the Dread Fortress that we talked about, and that was really fast. We really did it really really quickly. The damage, the DPS was really good. We were pretty much full the entire time as well, so it wasn't like we were trying to 13 or 14 man it most of the time. We were pretty much at 15 or 16 the whole time, I believe. There was that one wipe on the last boss. Yeah, one of them, I feel really badly about because I was main tanking it, and then they had to res me because the big lightning clock thing that goes around. And I was in the wrong spot right when it started up, and it just insta-gibbed me. So next time we played it, I was very careful to keep watching for the end of that phase so I could skirt off to the left a little bit and be in a safer spot. So
50%.
Yeah. All right. And yeah, we had who did we have? We had Peace Cells. We had some of the new people, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But
it was fast. You're right. It was
very fast.
It was a really fast run. Things got explained, and everybody did what they were supposed to do. It's great. Thanks, everybody. Except for me, lying dead in my favorite fight. But oh well. I got to watch it for a change. That was fun.
Right. Yeah, and if you're a tank, the Rancor, the cybernetic Rancor, is a great fight because it's a lot of fun to tank him. On story mode, there's not a lot to do, but the main mechanic is still there, which is the big magnet. It goes around in kind of in a rectangle around the room, and when he starts wailing on you with the pipe smash, you drag him over to the magnet, and he goes up in the air, and then everyone wails on him. It's really fun.
I also like the lava or whatever that drops out. That stuff is nasty.
The lava on which fight?
It's the Rancor fight.
Oh, on the ground. Yeah, the little spots of lava. Yeah, even in story mode, that hurts, especially if you're a DPSer and you're squishy. It does a lot of damage. It really does. You have to... It's one of those where they really wanted you to stay out of the poop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't go in the poo.
Because they got rid of a couple of the mechanics for the story mode, and so they kept the on the ground stuff because you can avoid it. Mostly it's avoidable damage except for the first tick sometimes if it lands right on you. Right. And yeah.
And it literally calls out your name, like, watch out.
Right. If you're tanking, it's like the harder modes. I remember you would have to, as a tank, you'd have to start using your cooldowns for some of his other abilities beyond the pipe smash. And also if he did start actually hitting you with the pipe smash as opposed to you being ready for the pipe smash, but if he actually hit you, it was a lot of damage. But also his other abilities, like you'd sometimes want to use like cooldowns because they hit pretty hard. In story mode, not so bad, not really that big a deal. If once or twice I would get low and then I'd pop a cooldown. It was no big deal. That was fun though.
That was fun.
All right. Let's see. So that will bring us to the tip of the week. And let's see, we have several tips this week. We've got one from Miri, and Miri writes, tip from a returning player, many-year hiatus. Do your planetary story missions as you do the class missions on that planet. You miss out on some unlocks if you skip these and try to power through, as well as missing some solid XP and gear. So don't rush it, have fun, Miri. And I would agree with that. We've definitely heard, we've definitely talked about that before. One thing to say about doing the story mode, or the planetary story as well as the class story, is the class story tends to give one set of gear, and then the story mode tends to give like other sets of gear. So with your story mode, you'll usually get like your right side gear and your weapons, and then the planetary arcs is pretty much the only way while you're leveling that you're going to get like earpieces and implants and relics and stuff like that. And if you don't, those can really lag behind. Not that it's really a big deal, you can definitely kind of keep up with it through other means, but yeah, if you do want to have like your gear well-rounded, that's one way to kind of make sure that it stays that way.
Yeah, I've gotten to level 50, 60 and had level 13 earpiece or relic or something like that, and like, how did I miss that?
Yeah, exactly.
Even though I'm doing the heroics and stuff, sometimes you just don't get it. So any way you can, solid.
Well, and one thing I'm doing for my healing characters that I'm leveling up is when I went to the fleet, I went ahead and got 2 of those thorn relics, the one that are supposed to give you. You can actually have 2 of them, and level 25 is the lowest level one. They're not very expensive. They're like 5,000 a piece at that level, I believe.
Right.
And not only can you get the rat gold, inoculation thing, which is kind of fine, when you need it, but it also gives you some health and a bunch of presents as well. So when you're doing solo stuff, especially as a healer, giving a bunch of extra presents to your companion can be really handy because they're doing most of the damage, especially after the first few levels. So
definitely.
Yeah, that's another.
Do you run the class missions and the planet missions simultaneously, or do you run one and then the other?
Oh, like when I've decided I'm going to do both on every planet?
Yeah.
No, I will not go back and do them again. No, I will do this like an area, do everything in that area, both sides, the class story and the world arc, and then I'll continue on both. Yeah, that's how I'll do it. Yeah, I do not want to do like the class story and then go back. I don't want to do. I don't want through Voss again, please.
I do the class story. Okay. And I run it, and then I don't go back to the ship, and then I go back and do the planetary story.
That sounds brutal to me.
I find it's easier to follow.
Okay, that's true.
Really, I mean, get into the story better if I'm focusing on one thing.
That's true.
I'm not a good multitasker.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense because you'll know then when you do the conversation. Okay, this is about the world arc because we've already done the class story. That makes sense. Yeah, that sounds painful to me. It really, really does. I very much like, because I like. There's something. It's funny because like I'm streaming, so I never spacebar the story. So in that sense, I'm very not min-max in terms of time wise. Because it takes a lot less time if you're willing to spacebar the stories. But I'm of course never going to do that. In fact, I think even if I was just solo playing, I would probably do very little spacebarring. Yeah. But anyway, but but it's funny. But in other ways, like I'm like almost ridiculously like interested in efficiency. So like when it's more efficient, I'll unlock the various taxis, or the taxis are unlocked, but the quick travel points, and
Right.
like I know like the fastest routes to avoid fights, through this
Yep.
area and that
I know
area, pretty much
exactly what you're
every
talking
area
about.
at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like I am so not interested in like going and doing it twice in a row.
It's funny. That's
Funny.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I
Still, I must say that you make a point, like,
yeah.
and there have been times when it's like, okay, and then I'll do conversation. It's like, wait a minute, aren't they angry at us? Oh no, they're not, because this is the world arc, and I'm
Not
doing this.
yet.
They're not
Wait.
mad yet because I'm doing this. I'm doing the
Yeah.
I'm doing the dark side character arc right now. Yeah. All right. Let's see. We're on the second tip. This one's from Sinwolf, and Sinwolf writes, "Well, sometimes we all stumble upon a dope moment. Utini has routinely been sharing the earliest moments possible. The sale items from Kai Zyken. As we were preparing for the Jar Jar Droid, three of us were seeing a different list and took us a moment to realize why. Don't forget that when interacting with vendors, and Kai Zyken is no different, there are three filters at the top of the window. From left to right, the first two need to be set to show all, or else you can miss out on some of the items, the most important of which is the middle, as that filters for your class and specialization." So there you go. Yeah, if you're filtering just for your class, because there are some vendors where it's nice to only see your own class and spec because it radically reduces the amount of stuff. But yeah, like Kai Zyken, it's actually, you should be thinking ahead with Kai Zyken and thinking, oh, I probably need this other stuff. Yes, that makes
Apex
sense.
Predator. Where's the Apex Predator? You can also do something similar to that. I learned a little while ago that if you have the Dr. Orgrob or one of the other leveled hollows, if you click onto it by level and show all,
Yeah.
it'll show you what abilities you're gonna get and that are coming. So
I like
didn't
that.
know that one the other
Yeah,
day.
that's really
great.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also get to see what are now hidden. Like nowadays, you don't have to go and get every level of every ability anymore. They just sort of automatically happen. If you have the first one, you get all the different versions. But if you show all, it'll actually show you. It'll show you, like Thrash level 42 and stuff like that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
oh wow, I've got a lot of like
Passive
all
stuff.
these abilities are like they tick up every time, which is kind of cool.
Right.
And the other thing that I will do with vendors sometimes, if I'm not sure like what I'm looking for is called, but I know roughly its cost, you can sort by cost, and then that makes it easier. What I'm thinking about specifically is like the Jawa junk vendors. If I'm looking for like one of the gifts, like the maintenance gifts, because I can't remember all three of the gift maintenance names. I'm not going to bother remembering that, but I remember that they all cost 2. So if I sort it by the price, then boom, they're like right near the top of the list. Yeah,
That's great idea.
yeah, because there's only like a handful of things that cost 2, and then they're right there pretty much.
Right. Yeah, I spent, I don't know, like 5-6 minutes the other day trying to find the maintenance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I
So
know
is it-
it's maintenance.
Right,
but
droid maintenance or basic maintenance or routine maintenance or
Right.
something else maintenance, who knows? Yeah.
That's a good one, Chill. I'm gonna
There you
remember.
go. Glad to help. That's what this segment is for. And our guild leader, Dekian, wrote in, and Dek wrote, while min-maxing one of my alts, I found something that I haven't seen before. If you're trying to hit that perfect 1590 accuracy rating, which if you're a DPS class, sometimes, and you're going for like endgame gear, that can actually be a thing, like getting it exactly right. Anyway, that's that aside. That perfect 1590 accuracy rating that you're going for, and you're switching between several different enhancements and augments, do a left shift click on any armor, mod, enhancement, augment, or even color dye slot to pop out a list of pieces you currently have in your inventory and cargo bay for that slot. You will not only see the available pieces, you'll also see their stats next to them. It saves a lot of time hovering over each piece in your inventory and your cargo bays and trying to remember which one it is and what has what stats. Very nice. So, and even has a little screenshot. It's in the show notes. And so you see the picture of your gear. It has the armoring mod and enhancements. In this case, he has done the left click on the enhancement, and he says shift left click. Although when he mentioned this in Jar Jar Joyride, some people were saying that left click itself would work by itself. But anyway, try shift left click or left click, and one of those will definitely work for sure. And then you can anyway, in any case, you can see a little pop out screen, and then it shows all the other enhancements that he has available to him right now, which is pretty cool.
So awesome.
Yeah, really, really nice.
This stopped Jar Jar last Friday when we were running.
It did.
Everybody's like, wait, what was that again?
You can do what?
Everybody's like, everybody's like, oh my God, I didn't know that round.
Right.
It was great.
Yeah, and I found it doesn't work for like relics. It's not about replacing an item, but it's about remodifying an item. So it works for the die module if you have dies. It works for augments and stuff like that, but it's not going to work for like whole pieces like implants or relics, like stuff like that.
Game changer.
Right. And by random allotment, the winner is Sinwolf. So congratulations, Sinwolf. You're the winner of a Tonfon or M83R droid or M2B9 droid code, courtesy of BioWare, and an OotiniCast provided cartel market pack from the latest shipment. If you'd like a chance to win same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show. And that will bring us to the Mind Trap. And the Mind Trap. And the Mind Trap this week is, what is the biggest focus of your guild? Please retweet, and if you have another type, please let us know by reply. So I was kind of curious about this. I could think of like several sort of main types of guilds there were out there, and I was kind of curious like what would show up as the one that people were responding as the most common. So the choices were social, progression, ops, or PvP, roleplay, and then conquest domination. And we had a pretty good amount of votes, 740 votes, pretty good there. That's nice. In the top 50% for sure of recent Mind Traps. And social actually did win. It was interesting because like I noticed like early on, like I was looking super early, like within the first couple minutes, and there was only a few votes at that point, but social had happened to have been like way out in front. I was kind of thinking, oh, is this gonna be one of those weird ones where like one of them really dominates? And it won, but it didn't exactly dominate. 38.4% was the highest by 12%. That's quite a bit, but the other ones actually ended up doing reasonably well. We have progression at 22.2%, so a little under a quarter. Roleplay at 26.1%, so a tiny bit over a quarter. And then conquest domination at 13%, which is interesting because and there were some interesting replies. One of them was, I was wondering like why conquest domination was so low, given the fact that you have to have a huge guild in order to dominate conquest, and you'd think that would be a higher percentage of the votes. So yeah. And that made sense to me too. There weren't a ton of like other categories that other people came up with, but a lot of people were saying like, and I did tweet about this myself, which was like, I understand that most guilds, have sort of more than one focus, which is why I'm saying what's the biggest focus. And a lot of people are still like, but we have like two focuses and they're almost identical, So there are definitely a lot of people who are like on the edge, which also brings up the question, like, are there guilds out there where like different people from the same guild answered, but they answered different things? You know what I mean? Like the Utini Knights and Utini Rage Guild is a very casual guild, and you could certainly put social, which is what I happened to put. Mm-hmm. But if you and it's kind of how we phrase it too, but like if you're in it because you want to be in conquest, maybe that's how you see the guild. Maybe you could have even voted that way, stuff like that. So. So
interesting. I didn't ever think about that. People having a different take on the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like I think of Utini as very social, even if it's just, I don't know. We definitely do conquest. We try to get conquest every week. So but I guess not domination, but that's interesting. Role play. I'm not a role player myself, but I love knowing that there's RPers out there.
Right.
Go RPers.
I do very light. Yeah, I do like light RP. Like I have a lot of cosplay characters, but I don't like ever go to like the fleet and try to hit up a conversation in that character's voice or do any of the more hard RP things that you can do in the game. Oh, we have one RPer in the chat, Captain Finhu. Nice. Yeah.
Nice. Hi, Fen.
I do kind of miss the fact that there used to be like role play servers in the game, and they just all got, it took a long time. They were there around for quite a while through a few mergers, but they finally got merged out, and now the RPers have to work really hard to like find their little niche in the game. But
right, people griefing them always like pisses me off. Why are you wasting your time like griefing someone that's just trying to have fun in the same game you're playing, dummy?
Right. and there were some interesting other answers as well from I Am Theron. I have a private guild with just me and my friend. We're very chill, and we do story, flashpoints, and heroics, and then I do RP with my story and NPC tunes. But yeah, if you have a private guild with just like 2 people in it, that's a very different guild, like from Utini Knights or AIE or a lot of the other guilds that are out there. Right. Some people are just single player completely. Nicholas Gray said, I don't guild, I'm purely single player. The last one I was in had a heavy emphasis on RP, so that's interesting. So purely single player, and yet he was in an RP guild, which feels to me like a very non-single player sort of guild to be in.
Right.
Like I could see being in a conquest guild and like hardly ever interacting with anyone. You know what I mean? Like being very quiet and just being there for the points. That feels very more single player to me. So I thought that was kind of cool. Daniel Escalante has played SWTOR since 2013, never joined a guild.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, never joined a guild.
I love that. I've known people that have done that before in other games, just never joined guilds, and I was always like, man, that's like another breed of cat.
Yeah.
That's like, that person has got their thing. They're just sticking with it. And they're, that's incredible. There's no way I could ever play like that. I'm too, I don't think I'm smart enough to figure stuff out by myself.
Right.
I need help.
And from Tiggs, this is the only one that I felt was like an entirely different category of guild. The guild is simply to share cargo space. I thought that was amazing. So like that guild is all about having the guild inventory and sharing it. That is wild to me. Yeah, it's like I don't even know how you'd go about finding other people with that headspace.
And you'd have to trust them.
They must know each other in real life. Maybe they've played in previous games before or something. That's my guess. You'd almost have to, because otherwise someone's just gonna, someone's
gonna rob you.
Yeah, take off with all the stuff.
That'd be funny if they there was an RPer that just looted the whole thing, but RP'd it.
Right?
Didn't really steal it. He's just like,
yeah, that's right.
They're like, we've been robbed. I was just RPing.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, and Papa J in the chat is saying crafter guilds are common themes in other games. Makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't get that as an answer in Twitter as far as I saw, but that's true. I have heard about crafting guilds before. The crafting in SWTOR is kind of useful. They made it useful and interesting, but it's not necessarily such a big part of the game that apparently people aren't really building guilds around it. Interesting. Let's see. And then, Mr. GG was the one who said, kind of surprised how few votes Conquest is getting when those guilds have so many members. And that makes a lot of sense to me. And then Chad Hurry, or the Chad Hurry, apparently, I have muted the social aspect of the game since day one and never regretted it. Some people just
Jeremiah Johnson style.
Yeah, some people just don't want the interaction at all.
That's great.
So I thought that ended up having some cool stuff. Again, social 38%, pretty solidly in the lead there, but not like far and going away. It's not one of those.
Yeah.
Progression 22.2, roleplay 26, and conquest 13%.
Amazing.
Interesting stuff.
It's interesting hearing how differently everyone plays. I mean, I live in such a bubble.
Yeah.
I just assume everybody plays like me or similarly, and then here the Chad Hurry is just
Well,
like
yeah, exactly. I think I always felt that way too. Having Doc as a co-host for a while for me was like helped kind of open things up because he did so much research and on figuring out how people were playing the game, and so I kind of found it that way that yeah, there are definitely like people play way differently than I do. Fia is suggesting conquest guilds aren't very social, so maybe they're not on the social media. Maybe so.
there you
That
go,
makes sense.
mind blown.
All right. Let's see. Let's go to the Hollow feed, and we have some in-game events for September. They've been announced, as they usually do, right around the start of the month. Rat Gold Resurgence. It is active as of today. This one's on Alderaan. If you're level 25 or above, you can take part in it. And usually we end up doing, like in the Jar Jar Joyride, we'll end up doing the Rat Gold boss. I think we probably are again, but I haven't seen official notification of that, but I believe that's
At some
correct.
point, I'm sure we will.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably Deck just confirmed it. Yes, it makes sense. We've done it like every other time for the Jar Jar Joyride. So if you're available on the Jar Jar Joyride, you can plan on doing the Rat Ghoul boss along with. I think we're doing the other Dread thing on the public side from what I saw. All right, and then that's all the usual Thorn stuff. We don't have to go through that again.
Right.
Kind of a little bit out of left field, we have the Double XP event coming back. So starting September 15th, so a week from today, and going almost a month to October 13th. And this is going to the usual double XP. It's going to be double XP, Valor, Renown, and more. So if you're still getting Renown, if you're still interested in the Renown points, that'll be doubled. It'll be a great time to have your Renown boost on. Same with double XP, and then you can have the double XP, your buff as well, and they do stack. Good stuff. If you're interested in like having high level characters, and you'd like to go through as fast as possible, this is the time. Because holy cow, yeah, like you can just rip through a character. You can absolutely rip through a character if that's what you're in for. So that's coming up.
I didn't see this coming at all.
Yeah, there wasn't really any word of it, and then just a few days ago when they put this up, it pretty much was like, oh, well, there it is.
Interesting.
R.I.P. Bug Hunt. Yeah, they did nerf that. And finally, the All Worlds Ultimate Swoop Rally is coming back. So the Swoop Racing event is coming back September 22nd to September 29th. That's on all the usual planets, Tatooine and the others. Yeah, all the good rep stuff, all that sort of thing is coming back as well. Again, that's September 22nd to September 29th. So basically the last week of September is what we're talking about. And there we go. Let's see. There was a little bit from Chris Schmidt about Season 13, the future of PvP. I'm not sure how much I really need to talk about this. Like, there's a lot of talk about exactly what rewards for ranked PvP are coming out. It isn't all in the show notes, as well as on, of course, it's on swotoras.com as well. I thought some of the interesting things were the bits about like pricing. They have no plans to adjust pricing on the various items. However, they're going to evaluate boosting the end of season token payouts for all rating tiers, which would be the equivalent essentially of lowering the prices. They will also be converting non-seasonal ranked PvP reward tokens to a legacy currency in a future update, and that future update is here. So the conversion will take place with the 613 update that is happening today. So finally, we've seen and heard lots of reports about harassment and general toxicity in the game, in particular in PvP, and he's looking forward to sharing more about the things they've been working on to address toxicity in particular, and the state of PvP in general in a future post. So we'll kind of look forward to that.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think? What can they do? I mean, I'm not in any way for people being jerks, but I mean, are they going to actually implement some sort of
is there going to be some sort of Right. Is there going to be? Are they going to be boosted out, or kicked out of the game, or just kicked out of PvP? Or
Right.
I guess we'll have to see. Um, it's always tricky to do that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to see what they are adjusting. So I
It
mean,
would be.
it is possible to get kicked out of PvP right now and out of the game. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
especially by cheating. That's like the El Numero one way to do it. But it sounds like they're gonna start to address the negativity sometimes too.
I hope that it just when you ignore someone, it just you ignore them and you can't get any groups with them.
Right.
And
Yeah,
they're
because you can do
bans.
that for flashpoints, but it doesn't work in
Yeah,
PvP.
because I don't want to see that kind of stuff. People
Right.
being jerks is wham. Stop it.
Right.
Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Let's see, yeah, and as usual, as of late, they've been sort of acknowledging certain bugs when people report them or re-report them, especially on the forums. They'll sort of say, "Hey, we acknowledge that this is a bug." A lot of times, though, it's a repeat, and there's usually not much information on like when it's going to be fixed. But there was an exception this time. Battlefield Command, the Jedi Guardian's ability, is being fixed in 6.1.3. So there we go. So they actually acknowledged it, but also said there's it's being fixed, which is great.
Nice.
Yeah,
Done.
and then we have the 6.1.3 patch notes. So the double XP event right there at the top. The ranked PvP rewards, the first batch of the Replica series rewards are now available following Season 6 and 8 Replica rewards. Can now be purchased on the Gerada the Hutt vendor. So you have Predacious Weapon, Predacious Wrangler Mount, Commanding Weapon Set. This is from Season 6 and 8. Uprisings rewards have been improved and added to all Uprising bosses, comparable to Flashpoint rewards. So I had noticed, even though I don't do a ton of Flashpoints, when I hear people talking about it and stuff like that, it does seem like Uprisings have been sort of like left behind. Like, even though they're usually a little shorter than a Flashpoint, the rewards were a little bit less, and so people just weren't bothering. Hopefully, the fact that the rewards are about the same should help.
Sweet.
Yeah, there's some really interesting Uprisings out there. So
yeah, I haven't done one in years. I don't think, but they were always fun. I liked they were good.
Right.
I thought they were broken actually for some reason.
Yeah. And the Cartel Market icons are now showing for the Ultimate Cartel Pack and the Hyper Great Ultimate Cartel Pack. Yeah, it was always weird. It was weird that the bug came in and there was just kind of a black box essentially. It was always bizarre. And then the gold armor packs are no longer containing partial armor packs like upper, supplementary, or lower armor packs, and should always contain the full armor, the full version of armor sets as intended. So yeah, that's kind of nice, because those gold armor packs from the Cartel Market are not cheap. It's like they're random, and they will contain a pretty high level, item, but yeah, they're not, because of that, they're not cheap, and so yeah, that's good that that's fixed. And
getting a half set of an armor, that would be terrible.
Right. Yep. A ton of general sort of fixes. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing the utility on the Guardian or the Juggernaut. Unfortunately, the one that's been bugged for a little while. I'm not seeing the one from the on my not Gunslinger Scoundrel either. But oh well. The Republican Empire banners in the Otessan War Room have been reverted to the original neutral banners. I wonder if they're still glowing though. That's
is that so bright?
Is that their way to make sure they go back to being like not glowy anymore? I guess we'll have to see the next time one of us is in there. Corrected the subscriber benefits screen with the correct number of character slots per server, so that's interesting. Guild repair option now uses all remaining guild repair funds first, and then will debit the remainder from the player's credits. Yeah, a lot of little things. The activate random mount legacy perk now clearly states it pulls from the favorite list.
Finally.
Which is kind of nice. I mean, people who like you and me, Kitty, we've played a long time. We know that it pulls from the favorite list, but if you didn't know that, you'd probably just assume it just activates a random mount. And they're, what's a favorite list, So now you know. Let's see. Anything that's else that's kind of interesting. Some of these are just little minor things. Effects granted by on-use relic abilities are now removed when the relic is unequipped. So that's interesting. I could see where like people might like pop it right before an ops boss. Like if they're doing a countdown, pop it, swap back in their other relic while they're still out of combat, and then that way they go into combat with like however many seconds left of a buff.
Gotcha.
So that's interesting. And then let's see. The following self-healing defensive cooldowns no longer generate threat. Unnatural Preservation, Culto Overload, Responsive Safeguards, Shield Probe, Vital Regulators, Renewing Darkness, Restorative Shade, Force Mend, Adrenaline Rush, and Echoing Deterrence. So these are mostly so these are as they say, self-healing defensive cooldowns. And some of them are on, potentially on tanks, but a lot of them are not. And ones that aren't, and in any case, you're not going to gain, even if you are a tank, apparently you're not going to gain the benefit of the extra little bit of healing threat, which is kind of a shame because there are times when that little bit of healing threat is like enough to kind of keep things interested in you instead of your buddies, as long as they're not attacking them directly. Just that little bit of self-healing is enough, but oh well. Since I do tanking, that actually does make a difference to me, but for everyone else who's like, my health is low and then I'm going to self-heal, but that's just going to drag more aggro on me.
Right. Defeats the purpose.
Kind of, yeah. Sometimes defeats the purpose depending on what's going on.
The healing amount you get is
negated by the fact negated by the fact that you got 4 more guys beating on you. So that's probably overall for the best. Yeah. Let's see. Sentinel. All active stacks of centering are lost when a Jedi Sentinel modifies their utility choices. Is this kind of like the relic thing where people are like gaining centering, then changing the utility before they start a fight? Maybe so. Because you can gain centering stacks with that one utility. You could gain the stacks,
right,
change your utility to whatever you really want, and then go into combat, and you'd have centering built up already. So
right.
It must be the same sort of thing where it's designed to sort of stop this little Operation Cheese from happening.
Right.
Jedi Guardians Force Sleep cooldown. Ooh, I was wrong. It is in here. I missed it earlier. The Jedi Guardians Force Sleep cooldown reduction from Battlefield Command utility is now working correctly. And Warmonger utility on the Juggernaut. Cool. Okay, so I was wrong about that one. That one actually should be working correctly, and I'm definitely gonna pop that puppy in, and because it's been broken for such a long time that I didn't want to waste a slot just waiting for it to someday be fixed. So I'm gonna have to swap that back and check it out because it's really great. Because it's the jump cooldown is not very long, but it's usually longer than it would be to like jump to the next fight if you're just doing a bunch of solo stuff. Mm-hmm. But if you're getting beaten on, especially if you're doing the tank thing, it's going to pretty much guarantee that your jump will be ready for the next fight, which is great. Or even sometimes within the same fight. Yeah, it's going to be really, really nice. Sort of quality of life. I imagine it's going to also be really nice in PvP because anything that helps you get mobility in PvP is worth it for sure. I think I'm going to be giving up the one that I'll have to look at them, but the one I'm thinking I'm going to be giving up is probably the one that when you get CC, hard CC'd, you do a little bit more damage with your next ability, and it can kind of stack. It's not a bad ability, especially in PvP, but I think I'd much rather have the jump cooldown for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well that's exciting. So that one actually is. I'm really happy that one's back. All right. I don't know how I missed it earlier. I don't know. Anyway. So Nature of Progress 16-player Master Mode Apex Vanguard has been rebalanced, reduced the healing value of the Photogenesis ability. So there's a little rebalance there in the Apex Vanguard fight. Only Master Mode, though. And then let's see. The Basilisk War Mount now, the flourish animation now has a sound as intended, which is cool because I remember when it came out, it's like it looked really cool, but the flourish sound wasn't there and kind of took away some of the ambiance.
Those Mandalorian silencers are really quiet.
That's right. The Gambler's party floor decoration duration has been changed from 6 seconds to 60 seconds.
Yeah.
I guess that is more of a party then, for sure. And there's a couple other mini ones I don't think are all that exciting, but we got some typo bugs, and there was a balance issue preventing players from completing chapters 1, 5, 8, and 9 of Kotet in Veteran and Master mode. The Eternal Empire Walker in Chapter 8 of Knights of the Eternal Throne no longer interrupts the abilities of the player's walker. So that actually might help, because I had some real problems with some of the walker fights in that chapter, even on story mode. Yeah, so I'm hoping that will be like a big help. A big help.
Having those, the global cooldowns on there
just
takes away so much of the fun from it. I wonder
so much of the
if
damage.
That's really going to help. Yeah.
Assuming that
like, I'm trying to do something and I can't because I'm getting hit.
Right. So hopefully that will, hopefully that will be the big difference there. That kind of makes me want to now take my commando and take her right to Hellcalf. Except then I'd actually skip that chapter, so maybe it won't help. I guess I could start at Kotet, technically. Can't you?
Yeah. Wait.
You can skip Kopfi and go to Kotet, right?
Correct. Yeah. The number.
So I could do that, I suppose.
Chapter 1 has the big.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that. And it does have another walker fight, although it doesn't say anything about that chapter. It's only the chapter 8 one. So I don't know. Yeah.
That has so much potential to be really fun, but it's
brutal. Yeah. Actually, a lot of the walker fights in the chapters are not. They're balanced harder than they used to be. Let's put it that way. Like they're a lot harder than they were before Onslaught. And let's see, a couple more things. There's quite a bit. This patch kind of 613. It's like doesn't, and there wasn't exactly a lot of fanfare about it until a few days ago. And then there's a lot of little stuff in here.
I wonder if it's because aren't they going to be doing the Hut Thanksgiving pretty soon?
That's coming in a couple months, right? I believe.
So I bet they're, okay, let's get some of this stuff taken care of before we drop that.
Yeah, there's a whole series of swoop rally bugs that were fixed, so hopefully that will go a lot smoother. I don't think we need to go into all those, but one thing that I thought was interesting was that they actually did a bug fix for the Nar Shaddaa Nightlife, which isn't actually active right now, but the Emperor slot machine no longer removes a Kingpin casino chip when a cartel market certificate is won. So apparently when you had a cartel market certificate as your big prize from the Emperor slot machine, he would also steal a Kingpin casino chip too. Not only were you getting one of the weakest things from the Emperor slot machine, but he was also stealing from you too.
ERP'd, it is the Hut.
Right.
Running.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kind of like, but we're going to pick your pocket.
That's right.
Little droid hand comes out and just goes.
Although to be fair, I actually do like the cartel market certificates, and I've been looking at all those little cartel vendors on the fleet, and there are some really nice things there.
Awesome stuff.
Revan's helmet is something you can buy with it. There's black primary, black secondary dye, dark red primary, dark red secondary, all really potentially useful, especially for Sith.
There's great mounts in there too.
There's some awesome mounts, especially creature mounts. There's a lot of great creature mounts available from it. Oh my gosh, so good. Yeah. So good.
I was very stoked to see that too, but I never even knew that existed. I found it and I didn't have any
the reputation
rep for it.
Yeah, you have to have the rep.
I got a bunch of rep from buying stuff on the cartel market, and oof, man, I love having those cartel certificates.
Yeah, Yeah, they do. But even if you're only like a newcomer, there's a fair bit of cool stuff you can get. And also, like if you have the rep but no cartel certificates, there are things that you can buy from them just with credits as well.
Right.
For example, there's some like goggles that look like sunglasses, and
10K.
it's like super cheap. Yeah, super
Yeah.
cheap. Really nice.
Skins. They have some really cool skins for your companions. On
Right.
there too.
Yeah, that's right. There's a bunch of the cartel companion customizations. There's even a few weapons as well as armor sets, but there's like weapons as well, including some that I've used recently. So yeah, good stuff. Anyway,
I think there's a title too.
the what?
I think there's a title that you can get too.
Oh yeah, I think there is.
Yeah, you can
I
buy
could,
it.
yeah, I remember kind of seeing, oh yeah, there's a title, and then I kind of went past it,
Yeah,
didn't
that's exactly
remember it
right.
because I'm not a huge title. I always keep the titles very simple. I don't use a title. I just have my character's name, and I have the OotiniCast Legacy, and then it's Utini Nights or Utini Rage. I keep it very simple, um, just because of the whole podcast thing. So it keeps it easy. And all right, then we will go to the force feedback. Read out your tweets and emails from Bodhi. Just wanted to comment on SWTOR on Steam, which, by the way, still seems to have an effect on like how many people are like on the early planets and stuff like that. Like I'm leveling the Merc right now, and like I'm on these weird midday hours and stuff like that, and there's like a completely full Droman Cost with like 100 people. There's a second one that's technically red, so I can't go to it. Probably only has a few people, but that's still a lot for like a midday on one planet. So
Yeah.
anyway, Bodhi says I use Linux a lot, and let's see, a lot at work, and I got SWTOR to work on Steam. Steam has an interface called Proton, and it will install most Windows games on Linux easily, and it works great for me. So that's interesting. So if you're a Linux person, apparently you can use Proton to get SWTOR to work on through Steam on your Linux system. That's really cool. I have no way to confirm this, but it sounds awesome to me. I've never used a Linux system, but that's way cool.
I have never used Linux.
Yeah.
Was it unavailable before then? I mean, through Steam, maybe.
Yeah, maybe the Steam interface is helping with the SWTOR thing. I know that I've heard there's Windows emulators for Linux, just like there are for Apple, but I don't know how. I don't know if maybe Proton is a better one for SWTOR. I don't know. Anyway,
Cool.
pretty cool. And from Gonzo, I've been listening to your podcast for a few months now. Heard you mention you're doing a robot character. Weren't sure about the head. Would like to share what I use on my Juggernaut tank. And there's a really cool picture, and it's a very droid-like. And I wrote down what it was because there's another screenshot. I just wanted to include this one because it actually shows the character. So it's the Fractured Bulwarks headgear MK3. Very cool. Very intimidating too.
Disturbing, yeah.
Yeah, it has like glow up, sort of very technical lights though. It doesn't look like Sith glow. It's more like a tech glow lights, and then a very aggressive looking droid head essentially. Very nice.
Imagine that thing waking you up in the morning. Ah!
All right, and let's see. And finally, thanks to Paul Halchenko, who became a patron. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, and is there anything else, Kitty?
I can't think of anything else, Jill.
All right, then that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satil Shan server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to utinicast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @utinicast. You can find contact details for us on our website, utinicast.com, which includes how to subscribe using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific. Go to utinicast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. Thank you to the chat room, and thanks, Kitty.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, chat room.
All right, and we'll see you next time.
Toodaloo.
All right, stopping the stream. Stopping.